just a brute. He was a beast at Baylor a couple years back. Well, he got accused of sexual assault. That turned out to, and he was going to be a top draft pick, so he got accused of sexual assault. That the accuser later came out and said that it was all a lie, it was all fabricated, and this kid basically has his life ruined. He could have been an NFL player, he could have done great things in the NFL, but he missed that opportunity. So that's just one example, but everyone else seems to have held up so far. I mean, these allegations are serious, these allegations are awful, and it really destroys a football team as far as recruitment, as far as reputation. Everyone involved on that football team is made worse every time another factual allegation comes out, and it's just awful. It's awful for the young women, it's awful for the team, it's awful for the players because they're not really getting looked at as much. It's just a terrible situation all the way around. And so Art Briles, who is the former head coach of Baylor, is going to leave, essentially. He's going to step down, and he's going to get hired on at a high school. And so this is sort of an end of his arc. It's just a tragic arc for him. I applaud him for staying with his team as long as he could. But at some point, all those allegations, that bad reputation, will follow you to a point where you got to step down. You got to step away, and I think it's deserving of him to do that. From what we know now, go enjoy your small town high school football. I think that's second only to college football, but go for it. So we wish him luck there. Now, another A&M college football news. This is pretty big. Since speaking of college football scandals, Ole Miss has had, their whole just crazy news story mess over the past couple of years. I mean, we have the weird recruitment things. It's like it's very vague the way they worded it in the report, but just basically it was illegal recruitment and mixed in with like non-regulated substance abuse, not necessarily drugs. I mean, I'm sure there was some drug use, but basically like doping. I don't know if that was actually what it was, but essentially it was doping. They got in trouble for all that. Players got big suspensions. And then, of course, on top of all that, we had the land shark. People are split on the land shark. That is one ugly mascot, though. Basically, the athletic director from Ole Miss, Ross Jork, is going to be leaving Ole Miss and coming to none other than Aggie Land. That's right. At the same position, he's going to be the athletic director for He's going to be the athletic director for Texas A&M University this season. He's going to come in on June 3rd to start preparation, but he's going to be doing good things. I think he's a very reputable guy. Of course, he didn't. We can assume, as far as we know, that his hand wasn't in any of the other scandals out of Ole Miss. But again, another guy leaving a team that has had a bad reputation following them the past couple of years. Okay, so in addition to getting this new athletic director, A&M will also sign their defensive coordinator, Mike Elko, another 3-year, $6.3 million contract. Now, what does this mean? It means that he's going to get $2.1 annually. It means that they're going to have a solid wrecking crew defense again this year. They had a good defense last year. I think their box was great. They needed some help on the D-line. They had a couple great stars on the D-line, but they could have used some rush help. No doubt about that. When you get into the meat of your schedule, when you're playing Alabama, LSU, you need to be able to rush the quarterback and disrupt plays. So I think having a rush in come in this year is going to be huge for him. But I think, look, as a former player, you got to understand that having coaches that leave every other year, every year, having different coaching staff every single season is just tough. It's tough. You're with the same guys every year. Some guys leave, some guys stay when you graduate, when they're coming in. But to have a different coach every single year is impossible because you have different offensive schemes, you might have different defensive schemes, you have the whole operation in which your football program is led is just different. So it can be very tough when you have a different guy come in, especially when you just got a new head coach. It's very important in the building stages, which is what A&M is in. They just got a new head coach. A lot of different new offensive schemes come in that they're not used to. Big team changes. It's important to, when you finish your first year of that new coaching staff, to not lose anybody. One thing that I think Alabama has done great, and they're sort of the model for the coaching staff, is that you have guys come in and leave, but it's not every year. I mean, they stay for a player's career. They'll stay for 4 years or 3 or 5 years and then leave, and then they might come back like we saw with Sarkisian. But it's one or the other basically. It's hard to have a solid football program, a consistent football program when you have coaches in and out. It just is, and I know because when I played in high school, I mean, there was a period there where we had a different coach every single year. I think the longest period of time we had a head coach was my freshman and sophomore year, and then every single other year we had a different coach. We actually had a head coach going into my junior year, or my junior or senior year, that was there for literally 2 weeks. He introduced himself to us right before spring training in the off season, and 2 weeks later he was gone on some college job. So we really didn't have a coach for most of the off season, a head coach at least. So, but yeah, it is very hard to, as a player, deal with a whole new playbook, a whole new scheme, a whole new team philosophy. It's very difficult to adjust year after year. So this is great for Texas A&M to be able to say, we're going to have a same guy for the next 3 years. We're going to pay him. We're going to give him a good contract. We're going to give him some accommodations as a defensive coordinator. Go out there. Don't switch up too many things, and go teach the guys how to have the best wrecking crew defense possible for Aggie Land. And I think that's a huge thing that Texas A&M can put on their resume. Now, as much as I hate to say it, we have some bad news, and it's kind of bad that we're ending the show with this, but Alabama legend, Green Bay Packer legend, Mr. Bart Starr has passed away. He had a long life. He did some amazing things. Probably, I would say, one of the most underrated quarterbacks of his generation. I mean, people really don't know who he is, but he played in the 60s. He played for the Green Bay Packers, did some amazing things. If you haven't watched the Ice Bowl, go and check that out. At least the finish is the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, and one of those goal line situations where where it's like, that's really what football's all about. Give me your best 11. Here's my best 11. 1 yard to go. Can you stop me? If not, we're scoring and we're winning. And that's basically what the Ice Bowl was. Plus, it was one of the coldest games to date in NFL history. I mean, it was just insane. But won tons of accolades. I mean, multiple Super Bowls, multiple Super Bowl MVPs. Thousands of yards passing. This guy is amazing. Probably the best of his generation, but not a lot of people talked about him. And not a lot of people know who he was. So, not to mention he's just a legend at the University of Alabama quarterbacks. He's a beast, he will go down in history as probably one of the best quarterbacks ever. He might not be the best, but he'll be in the conversation for history to come. So rest in peace, Mr. Bart Starr. I wish your family well. So that's the end of that's kind of the conclusion of this episode. Let me know how you liked this one, how you felt about the top 5 this week. Of course, next week we got top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. So we're gonna transition back into the NFL space and look at wide receivers. And this one's going to be tough because there are a lot of good ones. Probably going to have another honorable mentions list for sure. As I'm already looking at this, so another huge opportunity to get controversial. So go check that one out. Go share this. Go tell people to listen to it. And again, if you haven't listened to last week's, go check that one out too. So that's all I got for this week. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time.